Hey, we just got into June. I'm here with our lovely David and our lovely Claudio. Hello, guys.
Hello, all.
After you.
Everybody,
Good evening.
everybody is doing well.
So we've come together, boys. What are we going to talk about?
Well, we did that. We did go. The cast that you went live pretty quick there. I was going to say, are we on? Can we have a casual chat about? Me and you did chat about the topic. A relaxed, casual chat about who we are and what we do. I wanted to speak to a long time coming. Sorry, Claudio, but yeah, time is very short, and there is a lot of pressure on to try and articulate the best position for man, in this time. And I wanted to speak to you both. And Karen said she wouldn't mind facilitating a little chat where she kind of hosts, but I want her to be next to you and next to I in a way, and we chat about who we are, what we do. The information that I've seen you two share over the years is incredible. I've only recently met Claudio, but I have admiration and respect for the depth of his knowledge, his nature, how he articulates data. And for you both, you are out there. When I say out there, I don't mean up there as in lunatics, but you're out there in the field of the realm, and you talk and you do present well, effectively. And I just wanted to show some admiration and respect for you both, and we kind of could do that in this chat, if that would be all right for you two to lead as well as I. But I'd like to ask some questions, and like my first kind of thing, what I'd like to ask, before we go deep into, if we want to go for walks, we can do. But how do you both like when you present and you're doing your works and you're getting attacks and you're doing stuff which is frowned upon, or I can tell the viewers on this video that you both do cutting edge, out there, new types of works, and what's the way data that you present and how you present it. It may have been there for a while, but you find different ways of reading it. So how you both go on about your work and how you go about presenting, and how you find that at the minute. If we could chat about things like that, that would be great for me. If you've got any other bits you want to put in and say, then I'm happy to facilitate as well. I yield.
Thank you, David. Who should go first then, me or Claudio?
Both, yeah. Ladies first, I think. Is it not, brother? Is that how we say that?
Hey, I'm good. Whatever. I'll follow your lead.
Well, I don't profess to be as good as you boys, but I found this angle, like looking at footage, and sometimes I'd go to my inbox and the ones that are withheld or whatever, because you put words you don't want to see going out on your channel, and you just think, what am I doing this for? To be annihilated? In my world, I'm trying to tell people the truth as best as I can, and even there's just so many things wrong. Anyway, sometimes I thought, why am I doing this? Then you get people like Amy, and there's loads of people. There's Marilyn, there's Ditsy, people on my channel, Tammy, and it just goes on and on and on. I can't even mention the names. Laurie, it goes on. And these people inspire me as well. So they help me along. But when you're a truther, you can't help but have your say. You just got to have it, haven't you, David and Claudio? That's it, really. You keep going.
Yeah, you will make yourself a target, and you are respected. Yeah, it's exactly where I was at. Yes, so I admire the way that you both have a voice and you have an opinion. You put yourself out there, and you are a light out there in the darkness. And people try to mistake kindness for weakness, or they come along and try to take bits, best qualities about you and emulate them, or your channel, or your work, or your ideas. So I'm just wanting to say, yeah, thank you to you both for the unique way that we all look at things, and to some extent repeat, like Claudio's emphasized, words and things that have been said before. But whilst we do that, we kind of we're all three of us intelligences, consciousnesses, intellects of a unique type, where we are humble, respectful, loving, but we don't take no for an answer. And if we feel that there's something wrong, we will go and have a look and question that authority, both you and Claudio there. So the light in the darkness, and what when we say we repeat others, we do, yeah. Plato, a great Greek, and leaders of Homer, the Iliad of Homer, and Hippocrates, all of these great works and writings that have been done before, Plato, Aristotle, and so we are doing, like Bruce Lee said, learning from the best and making our own style. And never before have minds like ours had this luxury of the internet and all this data, the communication, when indigos, light workers, crystals, rainbows, star seeds of sorts as we are, that are conscionable, have never had, to be able to research Jordan Maxwell, Santos Bernaccio, Claudio Civalgi, and Ken Wheeler, Walter Russell, what one man, one of those, and women, I'll get, some females in there. That's why you're here as well, the female forces that are suppressed throughout Catholicism and Christianity to some extent. And so Magenta Pixie, the fifth dimension, there's other ladies out there, but not so many. That's another thing in itself. But never have we been able to have access to these data pools of, which is how I feel, So we can now articulate quite an in-depth, articulate, far out, random amount of data across many legendary speakers and consciousnesses, intellects. And you do find it's hard, and people, they either love it or they hate it, or like yourselves, they join together and say, do you know what, I've got something similar. And it's a great time for us all, and I respect you two, and I wanted to get you together, and you with I, to talk about this.
It's brilliant. What's Claudio's view then?
All right. Yeah, well, you guys are saying everything, and we all agree. I mean, here we are in a cycle in our zodiac, our 26,000 year cycle, where everybody comes out of the age of deception. Each one of us is a unique fingerprint based on our natal chart, and we're going to be one of the 144 classes of let's say, personalities. I don't like using that word so much because the way law uses it, but so we're unique, and every one of us has our own way of being able to articulate ourselves. Now, but each one of us will attract different people. It'll attract like people. So as long as we as long as we convince or show truth or enlighten somebody with truth that is absolutely 100% real, we're one at a time. I keep saying to Kathy, we're fisher of men and women. The true definition of fishermen and women is to be able to find people who want and seeking the truth. And there's so many people out there that are all being lit up like us that want to share truth and don't have the truth, but they think they have it. So their own internal instincts wants them to share it because they think they have it. So we're all being woke up. So I think we're a little hard on ourselves thinking that we're going to get the 1 million people come follow us. But unfortunately, unless it's not good news, people don't want to hear it. They're thinking that there's no way possible, like, to be fooled and all that. So I've come up with different ways now that we can discuss, per your point, of trying to grab people's attention, trying to grab their ego. And Matt Jerome and a couple other people that I go back after Matt Jerome talked to me on how he used to do it with people. Did you have to ask them questions? And the questions got to be made such that they want to answer it because their ego thinks that they know it all. So that being said, you guys are right. It's not easy to get people to say, hey, you're right. Because but every day I get one or more person saying, one or more brother or sister saying, wow, you're right. You're onto something here. And that's invigorating, one at a time. because we're not going to get millions overnight. It just won't. So I'll leave it at that.
There's a little bit of reverb with David's mic for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but thank you, Claudio. Yeah, we're doing different things, all of us, but we're friends and we understand each other. So that's a good thing, isn't it?
Is that a bit better?
That's better. It's just echoing a bit. I don't know if you were walking around or you're walking away, but just the people hear it. But anyway,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
I've sorted it.
Our souls keep it together, don't they? We know we have
100%. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that
There we
echo
go.
again.
No, it's David. It's David.
It's on it. I've sorted it. Sorry, that should be better. I've put a headset in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Hello?
souls keep us together.
That's the collective consciousness, the yin that's in every one of us, the mirror of the absolute, the impossible to be any other way. And that's why we're all coming together like this. Of course, we have impatience. We want it to happen overnight, just along with living. I get it.
Yeah, it's a journey, a soul journey there, and the law. I follow. Should I say what we inwardly project, we outwardly attract. So the vibration, the inward feeling. But sometimes this last month or two, I've focused on trying to look at how we could protect man, what to do when we carry information and we want to get others to hold this information, but they don't know who you are. They don't know, because there's a lot of preachers and not preachers, thought leaders, I'd say. You both are thought leaders. I have become a thought leader in amongst the realms of controversial topics that we discuss, the animal kingdom above, zodiac stars, monotheism, monosibyllic languages. This is what everything we've picked up and we've learned, and it's not one man's job. It's a continuation of data refining, and we keep sifting through it like looking for gold. And these terminologies, like you said, person there earlier, the legal personality. It's incredible where we are at now, where with works and publications and studies and how we're doing this. So the controversial topics of which, man, I like the Depeche Mode, and I always want to sing it, and I know I can't sing, but your own personal Jesus, at the opening lyrics. I'm sure you're both aware of these. Somebody to call your own, someone who cares, and someone who will hear your prayers. So when we come along, like when when Santos was on about Jesus and the spine and the chrism and the Christos and the oil and the larder, and I was lost. I don't mind saying, I'm like, is this man for real? He's what he's saying, and I've gone down a journey of my own. Not that Claudio showed me, not that you showed me, but your own. Like Bruce Lee says, learn from some of the best, the most established, if not the best. And Santos, Jordan Maxwell, Ken Wheeler, Walter Russell, Walter Vaith. I've got hundreds of names, Napoleon Hill and Alan Watts, old school. These were not old school because we could go back lineages of thousands of years, qubits and things, but we won't, the great Kings list, but we go back and we learn from the best and the most established, and we form our own. And if we're humble enough, you're right there, Claudia, with the egos, and we all have egos. I believe our three egos are somewhat under control and in a cage. They haven't always been, but I fear that, and I feel that they are. And if we can come back with our collectiveness, stuff that we could make money and profit from, and get maybe extra views if we did it in a certain way and sensationalized it, like Ike on a bikey with what's his name now, Rosie, and what they're doing there, and others. It's not for sensationalizing. Wow, I said it twice and good. And it's not for profiting on, but if we can come back with our humble opinions and present our works again and findings and make it open and present it, and it hasn't always been the case for me, clearly, concisely, effectively, stick to subjects and work through them, then we do find magical things happen in there. So I'm just wanting to say that it does take a great many men, a great many years, women, womb men, and with what the realm, I've learned a lot through the the coming into the Earth and the flat Earth and the round Earth and the toroidals and the energies and you know the predispositions of these minds and what it says in scriptures and what it says in science. And if I may just wrap up with, you know, I'll say that this hasn't always been the case, but the word folk in America, you folks, F-O-L-K, you change the O and the L, you've got a flock, and you've got chiefs of staff. The chiefs of staff are in the military organization in the ranks of squadrons and you know, but what legions. Legion is a demony type. Legion, we are many. Folk, flock, shepherd looking after his flock. A shepherd washing his socks by night is the lyrics we changed at school to that famous hymn there back in the day. So you got the staff with the shepherd and his wooden stick looking after those flock, the folk. And before you go any further, shepherds don't always keep lambs and sheep and flock because they like lambs. They like keeping them. They keep them because they like them a bit too much, as the great late Christopher Hitchens used to say. And they then might fleece them before they kill them. And here we are as the flock, the folk today, with words and etymology and languages and star signs and Saturns and Mercury and planets and realms and energies. And you know, the cattle is another word for the sheep and the flock being kept by the shepherd, which is the chief of staff. And we've got fantastic analogies that are coming out. Chattel is cattle, possession, land of property, rights, fee simple, allodial, title, property. We'll get into law and real law, Claudio, on this chat, if that's all right. And what you've got there as well, I'm kind of linking up to certain things, but laws of science, laws of space, laws of attraction, laws of quantum realms and universal things that cannot be moved. And the words and the figures that we have now is an honor and a privilege. You know, we're pushing the boundaries forward in great many ways here with how we see things and how we express ourselves. I'm going to yield.
David. Claudio.
Yeah, I know, brother. I mean, when you listen to all the words and how you articulate everything, I mean, I can follow it 100%. Thing is that we've been down the rabbit hole, and we got to come out of the rabbit hole now. This is what I'm finding for myself, brother. And all those things that were down in the rabbit hole, we just got to bring the truth out, right? How we got, I'm going to use the word confused, deceived, whatever word we want to use, how that happened, to me I'm trying to put that aside and not trying to convince people of that, and show them that I know how you've been deceived, and paint this picture in their brain that they can't even fathom, but yet they can watch it on TV, pay for it, go to a show, watch deception, watch all these things, but never try to listen to it as if it were a reality. So I've now dumped all that. Excuse me, I put that on. I've dumped all that, and now I'm just stating facts. Facts in a way where you get their attention. And I'll use an example when we get to the law this part of the discussion. So now I just got real simple things. I got one for the United States people, like the Canadian others, say this sentence and ask them what it is. It's in black and white. Can you just tell me what that is? I'm studying law and I don't know what it is. Please, Mr. Lawyer, tell me what that means. Mr. and Mrs. Lawyer. So, and that's something that I learned from Matt Jerome, right? So I guess from your discussion, what I'm saying from if we want to be able to get to people, we just got to hit their yin, hit their collective consciousness with truth. Because if it's unequivocally truth that's been signed by our foremothers and forefathers, the vibration attached to it made to wake them up. The angels want us to do that. The luminaries, the universe, whatever you want to call it, they want us to vibrate them in that way. So I'm trying to not try to drag them down the rabbit hole that we've been through so that they can come out. That's going to take a long time.
video,
It
because
took us,
we
yeah, it took us a long, long time. So the best thing to do now is just hit them, because don't forget, there's different personalities. People don't, we're made to go down the rabbit hole and come back out and share truth. They just want to hear it. I just want to go back to live my life. Other people are going to say, look, just make the world beautiful, and I'll be a major part of it. I'll pick things up and put them down. I'll cook, I'll landscape, I'll do whatever you want. Just make things right again. So those people there, they don't want to hear the rabbit hole, want to hear the truth. They just want the outcome. So there's different categories of each one of us in the ant kingdom, so to speak. So we're the rabbit hole people. We're rabbits. I guess we're rabbits.
I think it's quite difficult in the first place, Claudio, because there's no one to go to. There's no one we can write. Can't write to the president or the MPs. There's nobody you can write to. You can't write to the press. You can't do anything. We're kind of on our own. It's quite frustrating, isn't it? We're on our own.
The fact checkers out there, and how the fact, when you said, yeah, keep it, that's what I liked and I was attracted to with both of you and your channels and your work. And as somebody that's a psychonaut, an astronaut, I've been out there and down, up and around, digging and looking, sailing seas of commerce, and I found your two channels works for Sun and Moon, and also Unscrambled. Yes, facts rather than the waffle. It took me a while to get articulate in that way, because there's so much fragmented information and everything is related. You do need to stick to the facts, and you with the numbers and the charts and the positions, Claudio, with your channel and your presentations, and the short videos, they're concise, they're on one or a couple of topics at most, and they are given to in such a way for then the viewer to go away and check their current belief system, and how they feel, and to come back and we've had some songs made that have brought out from some of my scribes about Department for Work and Pensions, and we've stuck to one subject, and we've established that it looks like a government set up company, but it isn't a part of the government. It's a private corporation, like the hospitals are, like Amazon it is, that's coming in to effect here. And we separate the facts. This is not the government. This is a private corporation. This is contract. This requires consent. This is data. It requires, and we've broken it down to the healthcare assessments that aren't done by anybody that's medically trained, which is basically an idiot without being vexatious or hurtful in any way, disrespectful. They're not medically trained, but yet they're doing a healthcare assessment. What kind of assessment is that? And is it mandatory? So we had a few pages for this, and now, well, Kevin and Graham did. It's their work, and they've gotten it down to and reduced it to 2 questions. And then if they don't go well, there's more underneath that you'll need. But what was, say, a few thousand words or a couple of pages, a few hundred words, quite technical outlay of a conditional acceptance, has come down to 2 sentences or 2 questions. So those are facts, like you say, and once we get that, we can perhaps protect and help hundreds of thousands of UK. I'm not here to advertise. This is real life. So where we're at is the UK government have been assessing, I don't know if you're aware, disabled, less able, sick, vulnerable, weaker, needy tribal members of our family. And we found out through the work and the diligence and the research, I don't know what you call it as well, the readjusting of the works, and like you say, the refining of it. How do we make this simple, understandable, and so man can grasp? Because statute and code isn't easy. These legislative rulings and Congress, for those across the pond, your congressional ratifications that you get, they're not simple, and they're thousands of pages deep, millions of words sometimes. So a language that we don't understand, because it's not, for the purposes of clarity and the avoidances of doubt. I speak Anglo-Saxon babble, Oxford concise English, and no other language here to help you both out for how I speak and words that I use. So we've got this down to 2 sentences, which is based on facts. So I do commend what you're saying there, and the facts, they speak for themselves, and the truth, it will set you free, won't it? I yield.
Yeah, the truth always sets you free. People don't realise that. That's the bit that a lot of people have woken up. You get angry, then you feel free because you know much more of the truth, even if you don't know it all. But yeah, that's how it made me feel. It worries you a bit, doesn't it? Because come on, it's a bit weird to find out your whole life's is a lie, all of it, isn't it, boys?
Well, yeah, Karen. I mean,
Isn't it? It's a bit crazy,
but the
isn't
whole, but where I find my refuge, where I find my joy, is that this is part of our experience we're supposed to have. I find great refuge in that. And when we tune into the way things are happening, that you that you have the choice to make things better, and they will be better whether you like it or not. Because again, I mean, I can get into the whole metaphysics aspect of it. I'm trying not to because I try not to do a tangent, but you got to try to find the refuge in that this truth is coming out. It's game over. It is happening. We have help. Our collective consciousness is at it's at its peak. Let me rephrase that. It's going towards peak. It just feels like we're peaking, but we're not. This is our infancy in our ability to get lit up, our pineal gland. So, although getting into metaphysics, we have to find that as long as you're sticking with people that are sharing absolute truth, you're on the right path. And that right path, as long as you jump in and embrace it, you will find that next thing you know, all kinds of goodness and people are going to be attracted to you. It's just going to happen. That's another reason why I leave the rabbit hole stuff away. I don't want to attract those people anymore. I've been down there, seen it, smelled it, tasted it. Like Kathy and I lived it for 3 years. And now it's like shutting off the TV. Okay, I've seen enough. We learn the truth. It's only hang on to the truth. I don't read stuff like that anymore. I don't share it. I just share the truth. And the law that we're talking about is the truth. And that's got such a vibe around it that all deceptions were trying to hide that vibe. They're playing all kinds of noise and images and everything so you don't hear that vibe. And that vibe happened in the 60s. And that's the vibe they don't want you to know. So grab onto that vibe, think you're in the 70s, jump on board, the truth is out, that was a spark, the flame is burning. So that's what I say, jump in, the water's warm. I yield.
Bless your cotton socks there, Claudio. Yeah, yeah. We've got to live through this anyway, haven't we, somehow? Most strangest times ever, you know. I turned on the news today, and down there are those the speeches they make, the government ones. They're telling you it's mandatory to wear a mask on the public transport. That's what they want you doing, wearing masks, when we're on a shutdown of this whole thing, but it's mandatory to wear masks weeks later. It's just absolutely bizarre. It's just bizarre what we're living in.
The they're asking to wear masks is kind of a bit late, you know, horse bolted a stable door, but with the eyes are the window to the soul as well, and they're blood rich, and they can take in. I know from health and safety training that if, for instance, if you got a cut in a garage and you got a bit of metal in your eye whilst you was welding, what they said was that metal can cut your eye, that's gone in there from the weld, and basically, or rust, and if you get it in, do not use tap water to rinse your eye out, David. I said, why ever not? And she said, you must use sterilized water to rinse your eye out, because if you use tap water and you've got a cut in your eye, this is just a cut, bacteria, it gets in through the membrane, it doesn't need a cut. So bacteria gets in even easier than the cut. But my training was, please use sterilized water, because once you breach the eye and you bleed, she says the tap water has got a lot of bacteria in it, and it will feed the bacteria straight through that cut, past all the defense barriers, and you can lose the sight in your eye from trying. This isn't for everybody. I'm not giving medical advice, but the eye is not being shielded to airborne tiny particles of possible infectious, microbiological bacteria that's tiny, that's so tiny it's invisible, hanging around the air. Somebody sneezes, for instance, all right, and they haven't got a mask on. You've got a mask on. That's all very well and good, but who's protecting the eyeballs, which is a water-rich oasis window to the biological gateway to the human body? So I'd argue that that's going to be ineffective, and that we are not the
Not even
scientific
just that, isn't it?
jokes really.
Ears. We've got ears. They've got holes in them that go into, go in. So that's
Cuts.
another place.
Yeah,
Ears.
it's not foolproof. It's a joke. There's scientific chief advisors and the councils there and what they've done, and it's been a fiasco for the masks. Even the testing kits, they give an 80% false positive. Hello, that in itself should be an alarm bell. But it's like it's just like we've all been hypnotized, and anybody will be following what anybody says, because there are people posting things that haven't got the right information, and we got to be careful of that. And like where Claudio saying, to only post facts. I've seen a lot of incorrect and scary stuff. I'm not a doctor either. I know you two aren't, but we're not here to give medical advice. But we know, common sense wise, certain things, and when you see these posts, you just clearly see aren't facts. You just tut, and I don't know. It's a madness out there in some ways, isn't it? So panic, hysteria. Is it? What would you agree?
Yeah, I think Claudio was going to say something. I saw his microphone go on and off, and then he stopped.
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to say, yeah, I'm with you. I mean, if you were a germaphobe and you believed in the germs, if you believe in viruses, I know for a fact, with everything that I've been studying, there's no such thing as a virus. The virus definition is a cleanse, and when you rip apart the letters of the word, you will know that it's 100% just a vibration to cleanse you of the toxins in your body. So without getting into detail for what you said, you're right. I mean, the way if there was a real virus, the way they're doing it wrong anyway. You can catch it in your eye, your ear, your nose. Yeah, I mean, like, of course. That's why you have Howie Mandel as a freaking germaphobe, but then he gave it up. It's like, no, like, it's a retarded thing to even think about. It's an absolute that means the whole world could get annihilated by a virus and be all dead. Yeah, that means there's no angels. We're not here for any kind of freaking experience.
Claudio, if there was such a thing, can you imagine how that we would have been terrorized by chemical warfare because we're releasing another virus in your country? It would have already have happened years ago.
Right. These are just people making money and keeping you busy. Again, so going down the rabbit hole keeps you busy. Putting stuff on TV keeps you busy. Putting fake news, sports, all those things keep us busy in our lives to ever go and looking for truth. Now, this whole thing, it kind of backfired on them. They thought it was going to be like the 1344. It backfired on them. They weren't following the luminaries. How could they? They couldn't be following the real Freemason, the real monads, the real Platonists. They couldn't have been following their illumination, because if they would have been following it correctly, they would have known this is coming and they would have been done. So it's upon us now, because this whole thing is to help us and give us the time to connect, reconnect, to get people to say, what the heck? So everybody's catching everybody. So the people that know how to dissect stuff like you, Karen, and all that stuff, I'm leaving that stuff to you guys. I'm convinced. I don't need to be convinced anymore. So you're out there doing that portion of it. Karen's got it. Claudio ain't going to do it. I'm going to support Karen. I'm going to send people Karen stuff. If they ask me the questions and they want to know, I'm going to send them that way. Me, I'm working on astrology, building permaculture communities, right? And the law, okay? Because the law is truth. Because I got to know the law, because we're going to have common law in this community, and it's going to be the right law. I want to be instrumental in helping write it, where there's no corporations, there's no two sections of law. So I'm going to yield right there, because I think I might have went on a little bit of a tangent, so I'll just leave it there.
No, that was brilliant. I understand. I find that really strange that we get two types of law. They give one to you, but there's this other one, and it's got common law in it, and it's a totally different law book. And then they've got this other one, and you've often got the wrong judges sitting in the courts, and it just goes on and on. I just find it really incredible that we're here with our birth certificates. The whole thing. I just think it's one of the nastiest things they could have done.
Right. So I'm going to recap of where I was going. So we talked about, basically, I was going to how this virus thing is taking our valuable truth sharing time away, right? And what they really, really, really are really trying not to get us to do is tell you about the events that happened when they signed the international covenants with the United Nations. That's the only thing they're really trying to do, is don't get you go look there. 100% unequivocally. Don't need to know why, just need to learn what are they hiding. What don't they want you to see? What's going to take their pixels away from them? What's going to get them off of this gravy train, off of the backs of all the people? What's going to give them their karma that's due? Why is everything being put in front of us that leads us to the truth? That's what's invigorating. That's what's really invigorating. And the rest is all just noise, vibrations to stop you from learning that truth, that vibration. Now, I really yield. Go ahead, David.
Can I say something? Can I say something quickly?
Yeah.
I told David the other day, and I don't know quite how it fits in, but you know that they've been messing, okay, so we've understood that they haven't really tested any of the medication or even the vaccines for the last 32 years. So that's just incredible in itself. But, they've made a whole generation of people autistic or Asperger's. They've got different frequencies. And I was just wondering whether they wanted them because they need the people to do as they're told. But they picked the wrong people, didn't they? Because those people don't listen. If they get something in their head, that's it. So it's a bit weird, really. It's a bit weird that I thought that's why they did that to them. And we've got a whole generation of autistic people, or in the spectrum of autism through injections. But actually, they obviously wanted to control us more, but it didn't happen. But why pick those? Why make them that when that type of person listens less?
That might be an undesired a reaction. It's all testing stages, isn't it? I don't know, maybe it's it's something that wasn't predicted to come out. I don't know. I know where you're at there. Questioners of authority or implied authority, or the authority that we've seen there with regards to on the spectrum autism.
The
Yeah,
frequencies, because how come some of us get it and some of us don't? How come some of us wake up and the others didn't? How come
some
we can
say.
see right through it and others can't?
Some say that what I was going to say is that some say, and I believe that it's to do with your entry and the star sign and the energy of the universe. Like that's what interests me with Jordan on the far end, the far right of Maxwell and Bonacci's research. Then Silvaggi come along with the times, dates, magnets, universes, gods, goddesses, the zodiac in itself, the solar system, the olar, and solar system that we've got, the seas of space and vessels, and times. Some thousands of years ago, it was you didn't marry or go into a family if you didn't have the correct star signs, and even the blood was looked at. So how a soul is formed and how a consciousness, we can see that there are chemical additives and negatives that we can find that will affect man, Downs and syndromes, not just Downs, but the various syndromes that man is afflicted with. But then I've had said to me, and others have had said that are on the spectrum, autistic, Asperger's is a common one, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, and others that are labelled not normal, but actually
All
are
those,
probably
David.
they are probably normal,
but they're labeled not normal to fit in with the rest. So it's a bit like when you see the doctor and you say, I don't feel that I fit in, life's a bit crazy, it's too fast, it's too cutthroat, it's a bit like a war, I'm not happy, I don't like my boss, and he's here, take these tablets, they'll make you feel better. I hear in America the prescription rate percentage for neurotoxical, mind altering, antidepressants, it's common, has gone up a lot, 50%, 30% during the lockdown. So it's common perception for man to want to take a pill to feel happy, when we shouldn't take a pill to feel happy. We should be in the right environment, and we would feel happy if we had. So I hear what you're saying. I'm not arguing with you. The foods and the chemicals and the additives and the drugs and the environment, the frequency, the technology is killing our resonance frequency, human, the world, the animals. We can see that it's apparent. So then we have two outside sources there, don't we, affecting us? Yeah, go on.
I'd say one thing: a lot of people might not realise that we're just frequencies. We're electrical. We've got electrical heartbeat and a pulse in our heads and a heart. We're frequencies. Yeah. Just put that bit in. Yeah.
Vibe.
Sorry,
I like your vibe. That's a good vibe. You're on the same vibration. Yeah, the Rasta man knew that from a long time. And with regards to rights, I wanted to say that would you two? I got a question for you both. Then going back to what Claudio said and humouring what you've said there, with when we go live and you play this premiere this, then we can see what the reaction from the room is as well with what you've said, and that will be interesting to see what the scribes put there. But with regards to rights, they're either, I'd say, titles is what man has to property, and we have possession when it comes to rights, and spirits possess things from the church, again, more of the church and the Italian Latin type spiel in with the laws here, the codes, the Roman codes. But rights, we call them on our paperwork, and the way that we retain our rights and we reserve them. So would you like to just humour me and say, would you both think about and give me an answer, independently, your rights, would they be given by a creator, or would you like to think or believe that they are given to you when you are entered into this realm, when your mum borns you and you are crowning, and the doctor says, we can see the baby crowning, and you're crowned and born into this realm. You like Curtis put on the Crow video chat there some months ago, that your termination of being a fetus is over for the 9 months, and your new term comes out, and you are in another realm. You're in the physical realm, out of the waters of your mum. You birthed legally, and we get on. We've covered this enough, but then you are out, and you are in a new term. You was already created way back inside mum's tummy at the point of conception, but now you've been born, or birthed as they call it. Your rights are now here with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So would you just humour me and say, because the reason I ask is because we have these men popping up that claiming the divine right of kings and kingship. So I want to know if the creator, they're inalienable rights, and if they come from the creator, or if they are given to you when you are born. Let me just finish, please. Let me just wrap up, because then you can, and I'll just pin it. I'm nearly at the end. Rights, when you're born, they would be innately obtained. You get them when you're born. So if these kings are going to pronounce that they have the divine right for kings, and they either get given that by man, like the sort of the coronation and how kingships and things are appointed, or we all have them, and when we are born. So if we want to retain rights, then you would have to you'd have to fight for them rights. If you could let a king come along and replace the queen or the president, and you go and submit your rights to somebody and give them an appointed position, and you be subservient to that deity effectively that you've put up there, and so a legal maxim, something Claudio said earlier that I needed to say, just because it was in my mind, that if you don't, a man that doesn't know he has any rights, therefore has no rights. So that's a legal maxim across all the realm of America, England, Canada, and courts there, that the London Temple BAR system runs. So if you do not know, the rights there, then you're going to be in trouble. So the creator gives you rights, and the king claims that, divine right of the king, then we can all claim rights. And if they are given to you innately when you're born, and you don't defend and fight for them, you're going to lose them. I yield. Off you go, sister.
Oh, mine's quite simple. Well, when you think that we're living in like the Matrix film and we're Neo, so when we get here, it's everything that's here, not because we don't seem to be able to connect. We do have connection, but the connection bigger is here. So it's whatever's going on here. And then the thing they're putting you in, once you wake up, you know what it all is, and you don't need anything. You don't need a government. You just don't need all that. You actually know. And well, I did anyway, let's put it that way, but I'm an empath as well, so and a bit psychic, so I just don't know, I have different angles all the time of it all. But once you know it sort of is like the Ten Commandments. There's a lot in that you will always empathize with. You don't want to kill someone, and you don't want to steal, and there's those things that even if you don't know what the Ten Commandments are, you're living by it more or less anyway, something like that. So that's what I think. I don't know if that's complete.
Thank you, but can you? Yeah, that's great, and I follow all of that. Don't get me onto the Ten Commandments is something else I'd like to touch later. And Claudio said, well, his civil, political, human rights area that we can touch upon as well if we could. But just to recap, are your rights? Do you believe your rights are given to you by a creator, or do you get them when you enter this realm, when you're born into it? Where would you say your rights come from? A creator? It's not a test, but it's just for the video.
The other thing is that in the past, done a bit of mediumship, but I realised when you were ever watching one, ever talking about them, they never said we came back. So maybe our soul goes on, but our spirit is a different spirit each time. So it's here. I've answered it. It's here. When you get here, it's here.
So they're innate then. They're not a creator given. They're not inalienable. It's not. I use unalienable or unalienable, not in, because in is different. Like insurance, you are having assurance. You are assured. Just me being pedantic, but so you say rights are given to.
If it's true, we choose to come here. So that's from the other side, isn't it? Whatever it is, that's from there.
Well, it's a belief system. It's you say that, I follow that, and we have Claudio may or may not have, his belief system that he has. We haven't got all maybe the same exact, and that's why we get along so well. We contrast and complement each other well. So you're saying that rights are given to womb man when they arrive, when they're born, crowned by the mum, and enter this 4D whatever realm that we're in here. And okay, Claudio, could you enlighten? Let us know how you feel on that, please.
Absolutely. That's like the $1 million question, right? Where do our rights come from? We're born with our rights. And the reason why I can say this with absolute confidence is that I'm studying the Dendra zodiac and how everything fits in line in there. And coupling that with Ken Wheeler's metaphysics, which equals to physics, which is everything everybody kept sacred, the Freemasons, the real ones, the Pythagoreans, the Platonists, the Monads, all those guys, the Samnites, and all the stories, is that there's a lot of truth to our experience being here in our embodiment. So our embodiment is 100% a plan, something we signed up for, something that has karmic attachments, all the above, 100%. So the commandments, the 10 commandments, that's community, that's commune, the moon. Those are the moon laws. They were told to us, we knew them before we came into this realm, manifest, whatever you want to call it. We 100% knew them. We knew them before we came in. We knew the running rules before we were even manifest here. So the issue is the kingdoms, all the scholars and whoever ever wrote, read, deciphered, tried to reacquaint themselves with the writing of the Dendra Zodiac, has gotten all wrong. The kingdoms they thought were real kings, and you get to be that king. Just like right now, everybody thinks they're Jesus because everybody's feeling they get it. They're getting this spiritual attachment. Hey, I think I'm the one. I'm the chosen one. It must be me. Everybody's doing that. But the whole point is, most people back then really thought they were them. And then, of course, no, I got them I put them over here in the closet, and I'll be the king. because that guy thinks he is, and everybody thought he was. So during the processions of the zodiac of the kings, we have different lessons that we have to learn. This one's about being baptized about truth. Age of the Aquarius, king of Aquarius. So of course somebody's going to be out there saying, I'm the new king. Yeah. But I'm watching all kinds of people on videos that think they're the chosen one. But we all are. Our whole collective consciousness and our whole collective yin is the crown. All of us together make that crown. Yes, we're being king, we're being baptized. We're being baptized on our third eye by John the Baptist, which is Aquarius, the man in the four sides of the what everybody talks, everybody visualizes these four sides, right? So the rights are inherent with us coming here, and it's the common law, and it's the moon law, and it's the commandments. I've rewritten it. I've had an epiphany while being on an IV for having arsenic poisoning. I don't want to get into detail, but something made me feel really, really good before I went in there, and then the water was flowing through. I was getting anxiety attacks. I'm going, nurse, what's wrong here? She goes, oh, you must be really thirsty or dehydrated. I then rewrote the 10 Commandments in positive words. You want to talk about suggestion? Reading the commandments the way man rewrote them? I don't listen to that. I put it in positive words. So those are our rights when we get here. That's what common law is about. Common law means you don't do anything against the 10 Commandments. But they need rewriting.
Yeah, may I just interject there? When you
read, you're right. So I'm done. I can yield. I love that. I yield.
Bless you. I've had some epiphanies about these very such areas, and not at near-death experiences. And God bless and thank the Creator for you still being here, and us being so privileged to hear your words, your wisdom, and your intellect there. This is I'm not here to argue at all, and I say this. Conjecture is all we're after here. So these 10 Commandments, nothing about slavery there, nothing about certain bits in there, which is I'm not going to go through it all now, but they do, like you, I've kind of wanted to rewrite these in a way once we find out the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the lineages, the Justinian deception, Constantine. So thou shalt not covet thy neighbor was talked about by a famous man that analyzes politics and religion, and the way that it's bonded man and what bondage really is. And yes, that's like one of the first instances of the thought police there. To be fair, you shall not want to be better than your neighbor or anything like that. Which neighbor does it mean? Your immediate neighbor, or your global neighbor, or your nation neighbor, should I say, or your country neighboring state? So the commandments are a bit sketchy, to say the least. They are written in stone. So I would say they were the first, Abraham coming down from Mount Sinai and breaking those tablets in front of his people while he's been up there, and allegedly, the story, hear me out, and with a pinch of salt, albeit said with what we've learned as self-scholars and initiates of the areas we're in, but coming down, and he was the first man to break the law, if you think about it, because he broke the tablets after writing them immediately, after coming down 40 days, 40 nights, etc. Was it not? And the tablets there, and what the 5 are on one side and the 5 on the other, and what is missing from them. And we've talked about Jesus, and everybody, you said, thinking that they're Jesus. I've seen the same. I feel the same. I am just simply David, and that's all I know I am, and I want to be. But we come, when I said to Santos, could I say to somebody in a legal argument's sake, when they say you're not the settlor, you're not the creditor, you're not the principal, P-A-L, not P-L-E. There's a big difference between those spelling of principles. And I say, I come with Jesus as Christ, Christ-like, conscious. I do no harm. I follow the common law, albeit sentient, loving, tripart. Then he said, yes, that would be fine. I'm not trying to insult religious and ones with their own personal relationship with Jesus, but we are assimilating new knowledge. I'm yielding, my darling, and new information there. So it's very interesting. You should say that Jesus being the fish and reptilian talk, And 2,000 years ago, Christians referencing Jesus as a fish, and we point up to the stars with the Virgo star sign there. Is it no Pisces? Sorry, and then Virgin, Mary, Virgin. And trust me, I'm coming to the end. And the translation of Virgin, when the old Assyrian Dead Sea phonetic Hebrew, should I say, text there, and what they've said, it didn't mean virgin allegedly. Big difference, and it makes a big difference to the story. One day, woman will give birth to the Son of God, not a virgin will give birth. And you're right with the translations and they're not facts. So I'll yield with that. I've given you enough to bounce back on, and I've said stuff that I've been holding because it wasn't time. But there you go. I love you, Claudio, and Sister Kay. You are very special.
We love you, David. We love
unique.
you. Can I just say, I
Yeah.
read this book a long time ago when I wasn't where I am today, but it was a medium book, and I think it's called something like The Winds of Change. And in it, they were saying that Jesus had come so that we could be more like him, not like him. He came, the consciousness, and now I realise it's the consciousness, but it was to be more like that. But everything they teach you in church is so that you can never touch him. He's always never touch him. You can't,
Godhead is
we
within. Yeah, we're all in the image of.
He knew it was to be more like him. That's why that is there.
Down to belief and interpretation and encodings, and we have the old, phonetic Hebrew text. We have the encodings by the Greeks. We have the Romans and various other worldly
It's really sad
books
to
and
get
scholars.
it go wrong, though, isn't it? Like I read this book and I didn't realise how important those words were. But I have mentioned it off and on for years to people. This medium book.
No, you carry on.
Because
No,
obviously
that's
churches
Claudio's
don't like mediums, and then you find out through Claudio that even if they're not doing it correctly, they do use astrology numbers. So they tell you how, you've got the thing, astrology isn't very good. Yeah, maybe not the Sun newspaper or something like that, but real astrology, they're using it, and they're using it against us because these are the days they pick to do things.
Proto sciences, and they're very, that's what I'm not in this. This isn't my bag at all, which is why I went to Santos, Jordan, and Claudio for this, because it's I'm way
Claudio talks about it, and then of course it's lots of these things are cleanses.
The true sciences, the true north, the serpent of the zodiac. I'm like, what? Snakes above, and the story of Red Riding Hoods and the parallels there. I'm going to yield and let Claudio bounce off some of the stuff we've said, because otherwise he'll forget. I yield.
Claudio.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question. Why do you think there is a supposed new king right in alignment with everything that's going on? I'm going to answer the question, but I just want to put that in everybody's head before
There's two kings at the moment, Claudio. There's two of them. There's King John, who was born in...
there's a brand new one. And a brand new one saying the king, right?
Yeah, I think what it is I'll explain it very quickly, that what I know. When you get to Edward IV, it's Henry VII, Henry VIII, Elizabeth I. So we're talking of the 1500s here. Edward IV was illegitimate. He never should have been king. And not that biologically the rest might be illegitimate, but because he's illegitimate, it makes the rest illegitimate. And our queen comes from that line. So you go across the Plantagenets.
I'm sorry, I just have to, because to me, even just talking about the history of them, to me, gives them power.
Yeah, I'm just saying that now you're learning.
I get the history. I get
it's different history.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Go.
Just even Anne Boleyn didn't get hung either. Now the history says that she survived. It's like, what the hell? They're changing our history daily. Anyway, it was just it was just that woman. Yeah, just that.
No, I'm with you, sister, and I apologize. When I see somebody,
and the other king is the other one's supposed to be King Michael, but he turned up on a timeline which has got this Baldrick bloke. He's from a comedy thing, but nobody has much respect.
Tony Robinson.
Yeah, no one trusts him today. So he's now met the king in Australia, and he's King Michael, and he comes up earlier. His bit where he comes in is earlier. You know, he's from the beginning, whatever. He's just on a different line, and it means everything. And you're thinking, how could we get this far? And then there's two of them, but I think the King John, the one from New Zealand, he then is in the illegitimate bit, because everybody after Edward IV it would be deemed as illegitimate because he was, and that's if you believe it.
Right, everybody is illegitimate to think that you're a king outside of everybody else, and that the collective consciousness is the king. So, to me, all the things and all those thoughts I've thrown away now. All the 4 years of education that they gave me in university, I've thrown away now. I've thrown away all the noise vibrations, the ones that don't vibe with me, the 440 hertz, whatever you want to call it, however they're vibrating these images and words and books and knowledge to us that have no truth, I've thrown away. And if anybody wants to believe in a king or a queen, make sure you look up. And make sure you look at every one of your brothers and sisters that are walking around you, because we are all together as one. We make the king or the queen, whatever you want to call it, the one. There's no king and the queen. There's only a yin and a yang. So if you're going to look after the king is bigger than the queen, then you're doing it all wrong, because you're going after that the materialistic world is what you should idolize, and not the spiritual world, the image of the absolute.
I know what you mean, Claudio. It's you to me.
Right. So
it's oneness in yourself.
In yourself. I'm just giving some advice to people. Throw the discussions away. Don't even talk about it anymore, because it's just consuming us from the truth. I just wanted to say there's a coincidence that here we have, in the age of Aquarius, the Madonna rising with the sun on Easter, the Easter of all Easters, and everybody's missing it. And yet they are, because we're being enlightened, we think that we need to follow somebody else because they've trained us that way. Oh, there's a new Jesus coming. Oh, it's a king. Okay, oh, wow, they got a new king, but everybody else is going to go back to watching their football and everything else and say, who cares? But no, everybody's thinking.
Yeah, he wants to be king of the world.
Right, something's different right now. And what is it? Oh, no, it's spiritual. Wake up. There's still time to change the road you're on.
May I say?
Okay, they are aligning themselves with astrology, so that while you're feeling the way you're feeling, you got something to cling on to. The cling on is everybody that walks up and down the street. Everybody who's wearing a mask. I don't wear a mask, but the brother in Costco looked at me, a worker, and he said, "Excuse me, sir, you need to put your mask on." I said, "Absolutely. If I'm going to make somebody feel uncomfortable, I'm going to put it on." But I know full well in my heart, when I first go through, I would always wear it. Me and my wife would always wear it. But now it's like, hey man, everybody's questioning and there's so many people, but some people are being forced to wear them because of liability. These corporations are worried about liability, they're not worried about your health. They're worried about getting a lawsuit. So they're taking it to the nth degree, or they're overstretching it. But my point is, we have to stop idolizing anything. And the brothers and sisters that are around you, you got to have respect. So that's why I'm trying to have respect for them. I got to also give them a little bit of a little, wake up type of thing. And that's why I don't wear my mask now. Hey, guys, like, no such thing as a virus. Like if somebody there's people come up to me, I was like, how come you don't wear a mask? I tell them exactly why. I get into detail. But our kingdom that is for us right now is to be able to love everyone around you, because that is the crown, and we don't get crowned until we're all on that same page.
May I? From Kings to Costco. That was beautiful. From Kings to Costco, and I'm not advertising that, but you've already said it, so it's already there, and other markets are available, I'm sure. But I'm just going to say that we've had a King John Winoa, I think he was a Maori type, come and present a couple of years ago privately, initially, to us on a video chat, and proclaimed he was the new king coming to save us all. I'm sure many remember that with the dragons, the Pendragon movement over here, I think it was and then we had King Greg Hazlitt, is it Hallett, sorry, King of England, future King of England.com, Gregory, Joseph, John, Gregory, something like this, King John, Joseph, Hallett. I'm confused with all his names and titles that he adorns himself with, but that was the second one we had recently. Come to a seminar that we did in Bradford, an SPL seminar. He presented, Greg did, and then we've got a third one now, Michael of Australia, coming along here. But just say that I'm hearing Josh X telling me inside my mind, going, it's K is 11, in G is 7, and gematria, for those that are wondering why numbers alphanumeric, but K, twin pillars, 11, symbolic. Then thank you, brother Joshua X tree, for this, way he looks at the monosyllabic language and each letter, value, variation, implied mean, definition. K in G, 11 in 7, twin pillars in God. Just words and letters to some, weird interpretations to others, autistic, weird habits to others. Again, it's levels and levels in this. So when we're in the judicial realm with our paperwork, letters, proclamations, or whatever there, and we are, when you stand in front of a judge, it's too late to say, I do not consent. You're already in their domain, in their venue, and they're after the third jurisdiction, and they'll generally get it and not do very well by man, that is, because you're in the wrong area, and it's too late when you're in front of a judge to say, I don't consent. That was from a chat we did recently, and I did some commentary on that. But K as king, the question, we are AS hyphen king. So we as king, when you are in that position, kings and kingships, in itself there is in the wordplay as well, authorships, these ships, the king is the top. When you think of boats and you think of big boats and then little rowing boats, your top big all-star, luxury liner would be against the military. They're up there too, the battleship, but you've got a battleship and you've got a kingship, you've got authorship. When man, these are the ships that I've found there, but kingship, viewership, you've got a viewership on this channel, on this special purpose vehicle. We have a viewership, you have a readership. So when I say as king, I'm not trying to, it's just madness the way that it comes there. And you are, when you know yourself, Plato, Aristotle, Hippocrates, these famous men of past, and Santos of late, and others that are merging the words, and we're repeating the words of and putting into our own way. Knowing thyself, as we said at the beginning, will restore your confidence and power. And you clearly know yourself there, brother Claudio. That's why, one of the reasons why I'm attracted to you in a brotherly sense. Forgive my pseudo kinship, because when I say brother and I say sister, I'm now looking at these words of the ships and the hoods, brotherhood, sisterhood, hoods and ships. Hoods come from a hooded area. I'm going to wrap up, but he went from Kings to Costco, so I'll go from Kings to the pseudo brotherhood, sisterhood, the hoods, the ships. Similar, dangerous words, just, I know, but we've got the army. They have, let's say the war, Second World War. You had an American side fighting that may have got black American, darker skinned family American, Hispanic, Trinidad, Tobago, Jamaica. When I say darker skinned, we can have Germans in that, in America, some like Jewish German type, not thoroughbred 100% German in America, but against, just hear me out, the Second World War, Germany is one of the opposing sides of America opposing Germany. But you had this brotherhood in the army that I've found out about, that they do have a brotherhood in the army. They have a certain way of looking at things. And when we look at the army, the global army that we find, the commercial intercourse army we find ourselves in, this brotherhood, sisterhood, this kinship's very dangerous. The German black fighting against the German themselves, they had more kinship with the other side than they did the side they were fighting with.
David,
they
all play together. They're all part of one big thing. It was all just
1914 they did on the armistice of December the 25th. They played football together, bless them. That inspired something I wrote the other day about a peaceful truce, but go on.
I don't know if any of our past is real anymore. That's what it looks like. I mean, they've stuffed Spanish flu in, and a couple of years later the suffragettes are out for their rights. It doesn't all add up. There was no mention with the suffragettes that we've been through Spanish flu, and it's just mentioned as a depression. It's totally different when we've had something that's wiped out a third of the population. it's just none of it adds up anymore. I just don't, when you think that Hitler was part of this thing where they were taking the adults and taking the children, it's all part of the same thing. They all play together.
Army, brotherhood. So, and if I don't call you brother, and I'm listening, and I reckon I echo, I've got something to say on the back of that from the other day
What I
that I've
mean
got
is,
in my mind. But
I've said this repeatedly, but
yeah,
looking at it, listening to people, not just big programs, listening to what the people were saying about people's journals. You went over to America, you were quarantined, and they took your children. That's what they were doing in the Second World
yeesh,
War. Same thing.
yeah.
It's all part of the same system. They work together, they play together. It's all part, the whole lot. They're just part of the same thing.
Yes, agreed. It's just my kinship echo there was brotherhood, sisterhood. Is just brother and sister. They have a family in the army, and you can recognise. And I'm not going to go too much into this pseudo kinship, but the state we're in at the
To be
moment,
honest, to have
yeah,
regiments and to have armies is almost embarrassing, isn't it? When they're not used for the right thing, and people are putting their life on the line for something that isn't real. And they're made up as the charade to make it look like, but real people are risking their lives. It's just absolutely incredible. It's just
yeah.
incredible. It's amazing.
I got something short to say about the past and the present and the future. When you're saying that about the history and it seems to be changed, other than the Mandela and the weird timeline differences we're seeing within these effects there, to distinguish between past, present, and future, those three different, the past, the present, the future. It's a stubbornly persistent illusion, I believe, Albert of the Einstein, which isn't his proper name either. Ein one Stein stone. Albert one testicle. Albert Einstein one stone. We trust that time is linear, us three and most of your viewers, scribes, that it proceeds, some kind of an eternal, uniform, forward-facing fashion into infinity. I wrote something about the distinction between the past and the present and the future. It is, as Einstein then capitalized, coined, an illusion of some kind that would be yesterday, today, and tomorrow. They are not. We're looking here now. Then, maybe, perhaps, this is the time for me to say this. Then, for you, maybe not for Claudio. I know he'll understand it, but you're on about the history and how it's changing and that. So maybe you'd appreciate that I'm looking at it not being consecutive, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. They seem to be perhaps connected in a never-ending circle. Everyone and everything, as we've found, and we try not to tangent, but we do, because everything is seemingly connected. And much like a story in a book on pages that are formed with letters, words, and then chapters, a song would be each note consecutive, then bars, verses, and choruses, all going forwards, pages numbering up, bars and verses going from number beat one to beat whatever, and verse and bar. I can definitively say that. And like a film, each frame you watch at the beginning, roll, reel and play. That's a wrap. So we play a DVD now, as before they were tapes, video VHS and frames on a tape. So they are rotating and spinning disciples, the way that needles on records hit the outside and work their way in. Disciples and realms are, you can't view the whole film, your life, Claudio, mine, and your lives. We can't view our whole life because we're not outside of time. We have to play each frame at a time. We have to read each page, each letter. We have to sing each note before we hear the full song, the chorus. So we can only go one day, one frame, one page, one note at a time in this pixelated world that we're in. But it does seem weird when Mandela, for some, died some years ago and then died recently, and we have these en masse weird. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if Claudio's got out to say on that, but
So I
sorry.
think it's incredible that it happened, and then we forgot about it, and now we remember it happened, and how hard they did to do that. But how could he die? It's just incredible. The whole thing's incredible. Anyway, Claudio, your turn. Sorry.
I just think we know a whole lot of history. We know all that stuff, all that rabbit hole. I'm anxious if you guys want to talk some law and talk some truth. That's because we can. I love you guys, and it's like I can jump
Can I
in on
say
every one
something?
of
Can I say something? We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. We've started this conversation. Do you think we should come back for part 2 and do the law?
That'd probably be a good idea. That'd probably be a good idea because I mean, everything that we're saying can move into hours of discussions that I'd love to jump into, but some things hit me in the back of the head saying, we're not sharing any truth. We're just gabbing. That's just, I just got to tell you what my feelings are. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, like I said, we can stop this video and talk for another 3 hours. I don't care because I know I can, and I know I'd love it. But I think we should start sharing truth soon. Anyway, part 2. Yep.
I think Claudio's got something he might want to say. Why don't you say it? Just get it out then. If you want to share truth,
Oh, no,
I don't want to
no,
objectify.
no,
Yeah,
brother.
say preach,
We
bro.
we could go another 3-4 hours just on that topic. That's my whole point. So, I mean, I would like to at least say the truth is in the international covenants. 100%, 1,000,000%. I can show you. It's fact. It's
Can we
undisputable.
do that
The
next
Supreme
time
Court.
then, Claudio? We just come back in a couple of days and do the next hangout.
Whatever you guys like. I just know that
People only listen for so long, and if we start now, all this really important information, they might not ever see it.
There's probably people that aren't going to be. They're not going to be this far with us. I get it. They may not, they may not listen to an hour and 20 minutes, let alone another 2 hours, right?
Yeah, but the next one will be, that's what it's about. Is that a good idea, David?
No, I'm not disappointed. Don't get me wrong. I'm good.
Yeah, it's a topic that I'd like to do with extensively with Claudio to see how we have. I don't think we've just gabbed. I'm not insulted by what you've said there. I'm just saying I think it's all relevant and appropriate. And yeah, it's no, that's good. But the international political covenants and what we've got. There are 3 that are quite deep and through the timelines. All relevant and they're very, very useful. Yeah, they are. So a couple of days, if we can come back then and do part 2, that'd be amazing. Yeah, and we'll hanker down on law and what you've got there and how that sits. That'd be excellent. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do because we can just get right into that. Is that a good idea, guys? That's brilliant. I very much appreciated. I understand, like Claudio, he's talked about things for so long that you want a bit more action, don't you, Claudio? Whatever it is, more action. Thank you so much, Claudio, and thank you so much, David, for your time and everything. And yeah, it's brilliant. Part 2 coming. Thank you so much, and thank you so much to the chat room. Do you want to say goodbye, guys?
100%. Love you all. Look forward to any more discussions. Awesome.
Brilliant. David?
Yeah, thank you. It's flown by as usual. It's gone like very fast, and I've enjoyed it. I think that was we haven't spoke us 3 for a while, so that was a nice get together, and I'm primed and ready for number 2, law in action or something. And yeah, thank you very much, and I love you both lots and lots.
Yeah. Claudio, David, chat room. Yeah, Claudio?
Sorry, I was just going to say everything. I'm sure people are going to get a lot out of what we discussed. It was beautiful, enlightening, awesome.
Bless your cotton socks. Anyway, it's goodbye from us. See you for part 2.